Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles Sabanzi, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment. We give you guys a fresh perspective on things, and we see them. And today we got a hell of a show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Check out our podcast that we have pinned below, and be sure to hit all notifications to be notified the second we publish our content, so you don't miss anything. Let me get into this topic here. So as you guys know, there's been this ridiculous movement that has been taking place in the sports media landscape probably for the past 2 or 3 weeks now, which is this dumbass "we done with the 90s," right? For whatever reason, somebody somewhere saw fit to say, hey, you know what, man, we're going to start a movement called "Done with the 90s," and what we're going to do is we're going to pull up lowlights, Michael Jordan and other players kind of, having blunders on the basketball court, and then we're going to use that as a freaking launching pad to now say, oh, look, you see the era that Jordan played in, those guys couldn't really play basketball. Look at how they're bouncing the basketball up and down like that. I mean, look at how the guys dribble the ball today. There's so much more skill. Yeah, when you're allowed to carry. Yeah, when you are allowed to carry the basketball, you look like a goddamn magician out there. But when you actually have to play within the rules, and you're not allowed to travel and carry the ball, then all of a sudden your game looks totally different. We even put up a poll yesterday asking our audience the following question: which era had the best music, movies, and sports? And out of the 8,900 people that have voted, 66% of the, so we had various eras or whatever, decades. So we had the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. So the 80s got about 18% of the vote. The 90s got 66, which is no surprise. The 2000s got 13%. The 2010s got 2%, and the 2020s got 1%. Now, if you really break it down, I think obviously every era had its own kind of thing. The 2000s, the 2010s were pretty good. But the 90s, man, when it comes to music, when it comes to sports, when it comes to movies, man, the 90s, it just has this ever, like even when we're talking about hip hop, the golden era is the 90s. When we're talking about basketball, the golden era is the 90s. When you think about the movies that came out in the 90s, Goodfellas, Lion King, there's so many great artists that were out. Tupac, Biggie, Nas, Busta Rhymes, Jay-Z, like Outkast, TLC. That's just music, and it's a never-ending list. If you think about the movies, independent, it goes on and on and on. And there were a lot of iconic moments within that decade, and a lot of people still hold that decade in high regard, as well as the 80s as well. The 2000s also had its moments. The 2010s had its moments, but the vast majority of people believe that the 90s was actually something spectacular if we just go back in history. So what happened yesterday, I was watching a segment on ESPN First Take, and they were talking about the Boston Celtics and Jaylen Brown and all of that. And it was Stephen A. Smith, Chris Mad Dog Russo, and JJ Redick, who's a huge 90s hater. So as they were talking, Chris Mad Dog Russo brought up something about contracts. And then JJ Redick just stood up and he was like, man, we're not in the 90s anymore. Chris, like, stop it. This isn't the 90s. And I'm like, yo, bro, what is up with this dude and like poo-pooing on the era that came before him? So for those of you who actually didn't hear that, we want to play what they had to say here, and then we'll come back and react to what they had to say. Take a listen to this soundbite here.
Here's the thing about Tatum, okay? If you look at the top 10 players in the league right now, and I was doing this the other day, top 10 in the league, where would you put Tatum? About 8, 7? Top 10.
So one of the top 10 players in the game?
Well, he is one of the top 10, but what number would he be?
I got to think about it, but it certainly wouldn't be as low as 8.
I think yes, it would.
I don't think so.
Well, let's go through them.
Okay, let's do it.
Jokic.
I love doing this exercise.
It's fun. I love it.
We did it last year with Jaylen Brown. You got to like 23.
Oh, I'm down on him. Yeah, I know. I'm not down on him. He's not as good as Jokic. We would agree with that, correct?
Okay.
He's not as good as LeBron. We would agree with that.
At this point?
Yeah, you got even now. You're in a big game. Oh, in a big series, you're taking LeBron, and you're taking big series.
Well, listen.
I'm not talking about 82 games. I'm talking about a big series.
Well, I'm talking 82
Your life
games.
on the line.
I'm talking 82 games because that does matter. That does matter.
You get reputation in the postseason.
You're taking LeBron James.
Game 7 series, a 7-game series right now. My life is on the line. Would I rather have LeBron or Tatum? I'm taking LeBron.
I'll go with LeBron because of experience.
Okay.
I can't dismiss that, but I love Tatum's chances. I think you're dismissing him.
All right. In a 7-game series, you're taking Leonard or you're taking him? Leonard's healthy.
Kawhi Leonard?
That's
you can't say that if Leonard's healthy when he never is.
Durant or Durant or him? Durant. Don't even hesitate. JJ, that's 4. I gave you 4 right off the bat without even thinking, without even giving it too much thought.
Right.
Embiid or Tatum?
I'm going with Embiid.
That's 5.
Question.
Okay. So I haven't even thought about this. Curry or Tatum?
Yeah.
6. So before you even dig into it, he's no better than 7.
But this isn't
Okay.
easy. These aren't easy. It's not. These aren't
But- oh, yes, they are.
They're
But
not
also-
no-brainers.
But I have a question then. If you're saying that he's not a top 5 player,
He's not top 5. Not in the post. Is he better than Giannis? He's not better than
then
Giannis.
why is he being criticized like a top 5 player?
Oh, that's a fair argument.
That's fair.
Because he's getting the money.
That's fair.
That's a fair point. Though.
No, it's not about the money.
It's not about
Not
the
when
money.
Jalen's not
Stop
about the
it,
money.
Mad Dog.
No.
Money,
This isn't
power,
the 1990s, buddy.
All right.
Can
Jalen
we
Brown
stop
is
with
getting
that?
Jalen Brown, the second best player, is getting $304 million.
So you heard what JJ Redick had to say. Listen, here's my knee-jerk reaction to what he had to say and what I felt yesterday when I saw it. First of all, listen, there's something that really confounds me about NBA players today talking about eras of the past. I don't really understand it. It's really, really weird. And I notice it more in basketball than any other sport. Probably even in any other music genre. Because even if you think about hip hop, they pay a lot of homage and respect to eras in the past and artists in the past, like the Biggies, the Jay-Z's, the Nas, the KRS-Ones, the Rakims. You rarely hear a hip hop artist go out there and be like, yo, them dudes was trash. You would never, ever, ever hear something like that happen. You wouldn't, right? But for whatever reason in the NBA, it's become fashionable to take digs at the 90s. Now, here's what kills me. This is what kills me. If you're an NBA player talking basketball, right, and you find yourself making negative comments, cracking jokes about eras like the 80s and the 90s, I think you need to really sit down and understand what those eras actually did for you. Here are the facts of the matter. Had those eras not existed, had those players not done what they did in the past, no one would care to listen to you talk about basketball. Nobody. At one point, the NBA was just an up-and-coming sport. It was a fringe sport. So what did the Magic Johnsons, what did the Larry Birds and these guys do? They really popularized this product. At one point, the NBA was on tape delay. So a game would happen. You'd have to go out later and wait for them to air it to find out the result. That's where the NBA is coming from. So you have what Magic Johnson, you have what Larry Bird and these guys did for the league. Of course, you had the Dr. J's and others. And then you have the Jordans. And the Jordans are these guys that really brought in the money, the branding, and really took basketball to a global level. They took it to a global level, right? Where now people are interested in this sport globally. And you have players that looked up to some of the iconic players, the Kobe's, the Jordans, all of these guys, and then saw them and then got inspired and wanted to play basketball. Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, all of these guys were influenced by Kobe and others. And then they come into this current NBA, but they're influenced by what those of them did in the past. So to find yourself as an NBA player talking down on the era that came before you, it really shows a lot of short-sightedness in the way you view things. You have a very limited worldview on how things really work. And somehow you believe that you're the reason that things are happening today. So if I talk sports and I'm saying this and I'm seeing success from it, is because of what I'm doing and not because of the foundation that was laid before you. You're lost. You're lost. And it's a shame, because had Jordan and these guys not did what they did for basketball, why would I sit down and listen to role players and all-stars that made an all-star team 1, 2, 3 times talk about basketball? Why would I care? It's the best players that pushed the game forward that made people like us interested to listen to a role player talk about basketball. That's essentially what happened. So to look down on that particular era of this game, you come off as a real bozo, and it really speaks to a person's upbringing. It shows that these people really don't have respect. It shows that these people really don't understand anything about legacy. And to them, legacy only goes as far as what they can do to accumulate wealth for their personal families. But they don't really understand the legacy of a sport. They don't really understand about keeping a heritage vibrant. A lot of these guys are ruining what basketball used to mean just by the way that they talk about it. Because if the 80s and the 90s were trash, then how come the NBA is where it is today, where so many people around the world are interested in it? Those guys must have done something right, or am I wrong? Or you telling me is what guys did today that brought it to the current level that it is? It's a real shame, but what can you expect? What can you expect, man? I mean, it's JJ has been called out on numerous occasions by the legends, the Jerry West, the Bob Cousy's, the Michael Coopers, and so many others. I don't take people like JJ seriously because he doesn't respect the people that paved the way for his own sport. I cannot take you seriously as a man. I can't. It would almost be tantamount to you going up there and cussing out an 80-year-old man on the street because you have a disagreement. You're a bozo. Straight up and down. Straight up and down. You tell me I wouldn't talk to my grandfather that way, but I'll definitely talk to somebody's grandfather. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. If you have respect within you, it's within you regardless. You're not going to see me loud talking with a 60-year-old man, somebody old enough to be my dad. Who raised you? Where you knew come from? So anyway, man, this just the new era. Disrespectfulness and all of that stuff is supposed to be the end thing. You dudes are straight up clowns. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. They raised me with respect. You got to respect your elders where I grew up at. I don't know where you new come from. And I don't want to be from where you new dudes be coming from. I'm sorry. Y'all on some weirdo level type of time right now. You're actually talking down the era that made it possible for your stinking ass to go out there and earn millions of dollars. But you have the gall to sit up there and talk down on them, at one point calling them plumbers. You're a super bozo. A super bozo. The NBA helped make you a multimillionaire. My guy, what else would you have been doing that have been paying you this type of money? Let's be for real. A lot of these dudes would be running around broke as hell if they weren't in the NBA. So for you to be running around and talking about these guys that built the league for you, you're a jackass. And I can never get with somebody like that. I cannot get with clown ass people on the internet down talking the 90s, but then want to sit up here and talk about basketball today. What are you talking about? If it wasn't for those dudes, there would be no NBA. So what are y'all trying to accomplish here? Y'all are straight up clowns, straight up and down. That's just what needs to be said. A lot of you dudes are bozos. And a lot of you dudes don't have any principles or morals or raised with respect. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. In the African tradition, which I'm from and I'm proud of, you're raised with respect. You can't just be running up and talking crazy to people, regardless of your money. It's not by your money, it's by your seniority and what position you play in a community. They don't view it by, just how much money you spent. There's a certain thing as hierarchy and respect. So y'all be talking all these, y'all be looking like straight up, I'm just keeping it funky. Ain't nobody out there saying that like how I'm giving it up right now. Ain't nobody. That's why I cannot respect people. I'm sorry. I cannot, and I refuse to. Because the way you are and the way you conduct yourself as a man and how you treat people that came before you means more to me than how much you know about basketball. We're talking about a character thing here. This goes beyond sports. We're talking about your character. And you a straight up and down weirdo if you're one of these people running around insulting people older than you. I'm sorry. It is what it is. These are my thoughts. Whoever feel a type of way can feel a type of way. I'm telling you guys exactly what I think on the issue. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comments so we catch you on the next show. Peace.